Hello, this is the second in my series of videos about how a computer works. The first video talked about how a register worked, how a computer was able to store information, how you could actually get the computer to remember something, and how you could retrieve that information. Okay, but what we didn't really talk about so much was where the data was coming from, or where the data was going to. And that's via a thing called the bus. Now, all computers have effectively three buses: a data bus, an address bus, and a control bus. Irrespective of which bus the data's on, it's never a different format. It's always bytes made up out of zeros and ones. So let's say, for example, the way memory works briefly is it has data and it has an address where that data is kept. So let's say I want to get a memory at a particular address. The CPU wants memory at a particular address. It sends out the address on the address bus. It goes into memory. Memory puts it back on the data bus. Then it comes back to the CPU. So you get a bit of an idea of how the data could flow around a computer one way. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about buses. Okay, so first thing, the registers, just because we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about registers on buses. This is the sort of diagram we worked with last time. It's only one way of representing it. Normally we group these all these inputs together and all these outputs together into one thing, and we call that the bus. So there's the data bus there. Okay, so these sort of two lines here are actually just these 8 lines put together. So same with the output. And we can draw a register in a number of different ways, and we really just draw it how it's useful to be drawn for the given diagram. How it suits. You can hear what really matters as to whether it's doing input or output is whether set's enabled. If set's enabled, then clearly we're inputting data. If enable is enabled, then we're outputting data. Okay, you can always review my previous video if you're not entirely sure what I'm talking about. But if you enable set, then the input will go in. If you enable, then the output will go out. So if you turn enable on, maybe is a better way of saying that, or if you turn set on. If you turn set on, data goes in. If you turn enable on, data goes out. And you don't really want to set data at the same time. It's not. I think you can understand that it's not a good idea to want to. You could do, I suppose, to send. It depends. In this setup here, you don't really want to, unless you're going somewhere else with your output. It's not such a good idea to have set and enable on at the same time, because you're going to the same bus here. And similarly with all these, all that really matters is whether this is input or output here, is whether set's on or enable's on. If set's on here, then it's going in, data's going in and it's being stored. If enable's on, then data is going out. And you can understand all these diagrams in that way. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the bus, which is effectively this length here, these wires here, which are effectively just 8 wires with zeros and ones on them, as we spoke about last time. And let's say I want to copy data from R1 to R3. Well, first of all, I want to enable R1, and that's going to put everything in R1 onto the register. And I want to turn the set, and after I put the enable of R1 on, so that everything on the register is effectively just the contents of R1, I want to turn the set of R3 on, and then the R1 data will just go to R3. I would then turn the set off, okay, and I would turn the enable off here, and then what's going to have happened is that the data from R1 will go to R3. Okay, I could say do something more complicated. I can turn the enable of R2 on, which puts all of R2 onto the register. I could turn the set of R3 on, the set of R4 on, okay, at which point the data will go into R3 and R4. I would then turn the sets of these two off, and the order is important. You want to enable first, then turn the sets on, then turn the sets off, and then turn the enable off. And that's a logical way of doing things, because you put everything onto the register, you put it where you want to go, you turn this off so that it effectively is then stored in there, and you turn the enable off. Okay, I guess you can see why it's a sensible order to do things. So set enable first, 2 sets wherever you want to go, or 3 sets, it really doesn't matter. Then turn the sets off, and then come back here and turn the enable off. Okay. The one thing you really don't, I think it really is fairly obvious that you don't want to have 2 enables at once, because then what's on the bus? Okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have the data from this one being on the bus at the same time as this one being on the bus. So you never really want to do that. Okay, now this is quite a short video, just to cover a sort of fairly simple topic fairly quickly. The next video will be about RAM. As I think I said in my last video, I'm getting most of my information from this book, which really does give a very good explanation of the basic principles of computers and how a processor works, etc. Okay, thank you for listening. Bye.